Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And joining me this evening is Sanjeev Sanyal. Thank you for joining me, Sanjeev Sanyal. He is member of the Economic Advisory Council of the Prime Minister. Sanjeev Sanyal, you have analyzed several budgets with us right here on Times Now. Today, you are on the other side of the table. So let me first ask you, what's been given to the middle classes in terms of the tax rebate, which works out to about 17,600 rupees, less than 1,500 rupees a month? Is that enough, along with the long-term capital gains tax that has been hiked and indexation that has been removed? Because if the attempt was to put more money in the hands of people, is it a double whammy that they've got?
So I think, first of all, the middle class is a beneficiary of many of the things that were announced today. They are a beneficiary of the employment-linked incentives that you just mentioned before this. They are a beneficiary of all the infrastructure that is also being rolled out by this government over several years, but also reiterated in this budget. So it's not that the middle class is not getting anything from the budget at all from the expenditure side. Now, on the revenue side, let me point out to you that when you're talking about the long-term tax being increased, that is only really true for the stocks. For all other categories, the non-financial and other real estate, for example, the tax rate has actually been reduced from 20 to 12.5. Now, it may be that once you remove the indexation, in some cases, it may work out to be a little bit more. But I can assure you, in the bulk of cases, it will actually turn out to be significantly less, even without the indexation. And of course, there is the benefit of having simplified the whole thing. So I think, simplification is a good thing in its own right, and a very significant drop from, 20% to 12.5% for most of those categories. And, as far as the simplified tax system, the new regime, the tax slabs have been revised upwards. Now, obviously, in any 1 year, we are not going to take it and suddenly change it. It is a gradual process, and from time to time, we keep increasing them in line with, rising expectations and rising inflation and many other things.
So, Sanjeev Sanyal, let me ask you this question. Many people had said before the budget presentation itself that employment, or rather unemployment, was the big elephant in the room. Has the government been forced to address that issue after the elections, given that from a full majority they are down to 240 seats, a coalition now, and therefore the employment-linked incentive scheme, the entire scheme for internship, the kind of job creation that has been spoken about, a lot of attention being paid to the employment piece of the growth story. Sanjeev Sanyal, is this late realization?
So I can't speak for the politicians. You can ask them. I can tell you as an economist, the fact of the matter is employment was an important issue even before the elections. And certainly we have been trying to push growth. One of the main agendas of generating high growth, which we have succeeded in doing for several years, is indeed to generate employment. And even when the government was spending large amounts of money on creating infrastructure, of course, it leaves us with good assets, but it also generates jobs. Now, of course, what we now need to do is to get the private sector to begin get momentum in terms of creating jobs, and particularly jobs for manufacturing and in semi-skilled areas. And one way to do this is to incentivize them to take in first-time job seekers. Now, there's always been an issue, there is a skill mismatch and so on. Well, one way to do that, bring them in, you train them, we provide you support through various apprenticeship schemes and other ways, so that this first-time job seeker can be brought into the system. So, an extra effort is being put into this. Hopefully, it will work. But let it not be said that a big effort is not being made to get young people into the employment system.
Well, so let me also ask you, how significant is the abolishment of the angel tax, especially for the startup sector that has held huge hopes for the Indian economy and for self-employment and job creation?
So angel tax has been a gripe for quite some time. If you go back to 2018, it had come up at that time as well. And an effort had been made to, the DPIIT had attempted to create a system of trying to get around it. But it was found that it was too cumbersome. 12 years have passed and it's a tax that, mostly creates friction. So it was decided to get rid of it. We have done that. And I think it's excellent move.
Do you think FDI as well as private investment have belied hopes and goals in the past? Do you think this budget and the announcements therein will actually bring back investment from the private sector as well as foreign direct investment into the country?
So there are a large number of measures in there. For example, for MNCs, the tax has been reduced from 40% to 35%, not a trivial correction. There have been also many cases of customs duties, for example, which were inverted, being straightened out and so on. So, a big effort being made there. No doubt, whether it's the angel tax or the reduction in the MNC tax rates, the effort is to get the private sector to invest. In the end, we are a market-based economy. Government spending on infrastructure is a good thing, but it'll only going to really get going if the private sector participates aggressively in it. And by the way, a specific thing which not many people are talking about is the effort being put in to encourage the private sector to invest in R&D. This is a non-trivial thing because you see, if you want to compete in the rest of the world, you do need Indian industry to invest in research and development, something that Indian business has historically been very shy of doing. We basically, people who go to the foreign companies, buyouts, or try to get some foreign technology and roll it out in India. We haven't been good at creating completely new technologies. Now the time has come to do that. The Chinese have shown how if you invest in R&D, you can really take off. So the NRF, the National Research Foundation fund is ready for takeoff, and that has also been announced.
So let me ask you, Sanjeev Sanyal, the issue here is that a lot of what has been said in the budget requires cooperation from states, a federal structure working together in terms of reforms to be able to give a kind of a climate that the private sector needs. But already what we are seeing is that the opposition parties have met, the India Alliance has met, they've decided to boycott the Niti Aayog meeting. Does this augur well for center-state cooperation that is required to kind of create an atmosphere for upping investments, or do you think a lot of this economic goodwill gets wasted when politics comes in the way?
Well, as I said, I can't comment on the politics between center and opposition-ruled states and so on. It's up to them to work it out among themselves. In the end, it doesn't help anyone if the center and the states are not cooperating. There's a lot in there for the states. In fact, there is a separate category put out there about central assistance for capital creation in the states. If you look at that, if you look at also the category, the amount of tax that the government is getting is growing at 14%. That which is net to states, net to centers only 11%, suggesting that the states are getting a disproportionate proportion of the resources being allocated to them. So I think, states should take up the various things that are available to them and take advantage of it. There's lots in there. And it's not just for states that happen to be politically convenient, whether it's Bihar or Andhra Pradesh. By the way, Bihar getting more money is a good thing. It is the poorest state. So I think it's good that they're getting more money in terms of tourism or infrastructure and so on. But frankly, most of these schemes are state agnostic. If there are companies that want to take advantage of the apprenticeship schemes, I doubt the central government is going to discriminate between which state that takes advantage of it.
Well said. Yes, and it does help. Bihar does get the money, and it does help that they are part of the NDA now, which they earlier weren't. So money has found a good slope, so to speak, to trickle down to Bihar. Politics always helps economics, and that's what has happened. Social media chatter on this really goes on. But thank you very much, Sanjeev Sanyal. We do hope India's got a bus to catch, and we need to get to that third largest economy in the world. And we hope to do that with long strides being made with the promises in this budget. Will that happen? Well, we'll continue to evaluate. Thank you, Sanjeev Sanyal. And over to you, Deepti, for the rest of the decoding of the manner in which this budget has been accepted, not just by the people of India, but by political parties and India Inc.